and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on CBS that has a credit score over 800 and a six-figure bank account. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge USA Season 2, Episode 5. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it had great balance, great challenge, great elimination. I'm excited to talk about this episode, so let's jump in right where last episode left off, and that was a double elimination where both Lewis and Amanda were eliminated, and Desi moved over to the blue team, swapping places with Alyssa S. So coming back to the challenge house, Desi is rocking her brand new blue shirt, and Chris is coming back fired up. Chris makes a comment saying, in this game, you can send somebody in, and when they come back, kind of like, you're gonna have to deal with the consequences now that I'm back in the house. But he didn't finish the statement, and that's when Tyler decided to say, and what? You know, you're back in the house. What are you gonna do, basically? Tyler and Monty stand their ground against Chris, and you can see that there is this like split happening in this house where in this episode we clearly see a divide between Big Brother versus Survivor. But we kind of put the brakes on this a little bit as we move over to Cassidy, who is talking to Corey in the kitchen, and they're talking about their families. Corey is talking about his daughter, and Cassidy brings up her niece and nephew that she's really close with, and that leads to Cassidy opening up about her sister and her unfortunate passing. And we see this very personal moment happening between Corey, Fessel, and Cassidy, and we get a little bit more into Cassidy, the person, and why she's playing this game, why she decided to come in and play this game, and why she's going to come in and play this game hard. And then the moment takes a huge left turn as Wes skinny dips and jumps into the pool. Now, on Banana's podcast, he mentioned when talking to Paulie that Wes did this on night one because in the hotel, Bananas and Wes had a bet going that Paulie was going to show up or not. Bananas was telling Wes that Paulie is 100% showing up, and Wes was like, there's no way. He owned up to the bet. So I feel like this is editing magic, that this actually happened on night one and they're splicing it together to happen this week. Or maybe Wes just did it again to get some favorable attention and be the kind of goofball on his team to take away his threat level. I don't know. I think it's more that this happened on day one and they just spliced it into this week. After that, everybody dons their challenge gear, meets up with TJ in this field for this week's daily challenge called Unboxed. Each person on their team has a designated heavy box with their name on it that they have to take from the start line all the way to the finish line. Each box has a designated puzzle within them. So when you get to a puzzle station that's along this long path, you can open up one of your puzzle boxes, work on it, finish it, and then leave the puzzle there and leave that box there and keep going. Now, if you open up a puzzle box, you have to finish it before leaving the puzzle station. And you don't have to do any of these puzzle stations if you don't want to. You can bypass them, keep running. You're just going to be carrying all of your boxes, basically. I like this daily challenge. I thought it was really unique. I thought it was interesting. There's strategy to it, as well as you could try to just brute force your way past this if you wanted to, which is what Wes decides to do. I almost think that when TJ was giving the instructions to this daily, Wes was having these flashbacks to season 12 Fresh Meat, where he and Casey in those exiles did none of the puzzles. They just grabbed their bags and just was taking off, bypassing every single puzzle, and that's how they were able to win every single exile to make it to the finals. Everybody gets in positions, TJ rings the horn, and they run, grab their boxes, and everybody stops at puzzle station number 1. This is the only puzzle station with 3 tables. Every station after this has 1 table, so it's first come, first serve. Blue team has a math problem, which Fessel and Chris are really good at math, it looked like. They were able to get this done first, and they are heading to the second puzzle station. Green team was able to get their word puzzle done, and they were in second place heading out of the first checkpoint. Michaela mentioned, we need to get to that table for the second checkpoint, when Wes was like, listen to me, we just got rid of our heaviest chest. Let's all just grab a handle and let's just beeline it to the finish line. And I bet you we can get there first and win this thing outright. There was slight hesitation from Michaela at first, but then she's like, let's trust him. Blue stops at the second checkpoint and watches as Green just bypasses them. Red finishes in third place, but has to pass the second checkpoint because Blue is still on the puzzle station. So Red has to bypass that and is trekking along behind green, blue is able to finally finish the second checkpoint, and they grab their boxes, and they decide that they're not even going to stop at a puzzle station anymore. Red in second place decides to stop at the third checkpoint, and that pretty much seals in their third place finish because green already bypassed the third, they're bypassing the fourth. Blue decides that we just need to try to make up some ground. They look close. It looked like it was going to be a close battle. However, the green team had a plan. They stuck with it. They executed it perfectly, and they were able to cross the finish line first. You could just feel this relief in Wes that he was able to get this win, get safety, and now the wheels and gears are turning in Wes's head. Wes goes into overtime, working the strategy, working the social game in this episode to help get what he wants done in this nominations and to go into elimination, which was not to have any vets to be in any danger and to pit Big Brother against Survivor. And honestly, what I think helps kick this plan into motion was Desi leaving the team last episode. Swapping with Alyssa S over to the green team may have been the plan to try to weaken the green team a little bit more, but in doing that, now in a winning position, the makeup of the team is 3 Big Brother, 1 Survivor, and 1 MTV veteran. So with using the spat between Chris, Tyler, and Monty, fan the flames of this Big Brother Survivor rivalry, and now having the numbers on his side now with 3 Big Brother players possibly going to vote with each other, Wes can now try to do his very best to get exactly what he wants. Coming into the nominations, Michaela makes it very clear she does not want 2 Survivor players as the nominees. Tyler brings up that they should just focus solely on the blue team because they have 8 members, they are a very strong team, leading to both Tyler and Monty pushing for Chris to be the nominee. No surprise there. And then this is when Wes brings up that he wants to vote in Cassidy because the green team / Desi pretty much agreed that, hey, everybody should vote Cassidy. I want to go up against Cassidy. So Wes, who may not have had a problem with Cassidy or really would have ever voted for Cassidy if it wasn't for the green meeting. So now Cassidy has this like rivalry / beef with Wes. And now Wes is like, that's somebody now coming against me, so might as well just go with it. Michaela tries to veto because of Chris and Cassidy both being Survivor numbers, but the more she tries to push back on these 2 Survivor names, the more Tyler actually wants them to be nominated because it's now clear that Michaela is only thinking about her game, her numbers, her Survivor people when she's on a team with 3 other Big Brother players, and she should be thinking about the green team, which, I mean, that's just not the case at all. And then we get to the vote, but we don't see anybody actually vote. We don't see anybody, but the edit wanted us to be shocked at the revelation when we see the 2 balls on the stand is Chris and Cassidy. Alyssa S goes into the room with Cassidy to give her the lowdown on how the vote went. She says that Michaela and herself did not vote Cassidy. It was mainly the men, which gets Cassidy riled up. She hates to be nominated, as well as she feels that now Wes is puppeting Monty and Tyler, that they are doing his bidding and they have no backbone whatsoever. We really see this like animosity growing in Cassidy for Wes. And on the flip side, Chris goes to check out the nominees, sees his name, and he's not surprised whatsoever. Now we go to the bar scene where we see people like having a good time, trying to dance, trying to forget their troubles, back of the house, back at the game. And then we even see this like fun little game of the women doing like bachelorette, where all the guys come up one at a time, giving 3 reasons why they would make a good match or a good bachelor or a good boyfriend partner. Wes puts on the charm and says that he doesn't deserve any of them. They are out of his league and he is below them, and the women go crazy for this. The Wes charm is at an all-time high. All the women wanted to vote Wes the winner, but Cassidy, on principle, was so against this. This is just a fun game outside of the game. This was just like a fun little thing to do at the bar. It has no meaning whatsoever, but Cassidy was taking it very personally if they all decided that they wanted to vote Wes as the winner of the bachelorette little game that they were doing. We got to talk about Back at the challenge house, Cassidy and Josh in the hot tub together, having this like flirtatious energy that Josh would describe it as later on in this episode. And Cassidy calls Josh handsome. So, yeah, that's something that happened this episode. Talking about flirtatious energy, the next morning, we see Tyler and Alyssa S. talking with each other. They like to hang out with each other. They're doing a little team bonding, so to speak, you know what I mean? Then we get into the main strategy for the vets. We see Johnny, Tori, and Josh talking together about what Tiffany was saying in the bus about how there's a rivalry between Big Brother and Survivor, and she was going on and on and on about it, and now Johnny feels like the vets are in a really good spot to be a swing vote between the Survivor and Big Brother numbers, and this is when Tori implements the organized chaos way of voting. With these two big alliances going after each other, they need to keep a bit of wiggle room so they all can't throw their votes onto one person on either side, thus alienating one side of the house, and then they can't work with any of these people because then they're kind of showing where their cards lie. So they decide to do Operation Hat Trick. Putting names in a hat, everybody grabs a name and just throwing votes randomly at all these different targets. Further on in the game, they can't say like, oh, well, you've been voting against Big Brother. No, that's not the case. They're just voting wherever. Getting to the secret voting, we see that Tori voted for Alyssa L, Chris voted for Tiffany, Cass is voting for Dusty, and Johnny voted for Fessel. Whatever name he picked out, he just decided to say, screw that, I'm voting for Fessel, adding another layer of chaos into the mix and really trying to shake up this house. I also think he did it for personal reasons as well, hearkening back to a previous episode when the blue team won and Corey and Fessel kind of threw Johnny under the bus to be nominated, and that's when Bananas went against Pauly. So I do think that also adds in there, like Bananas wants to say like, oh, it's just chaos, but I also think there's a tinge of a grudge held in there as well. Now we have everybody meeting up with TJ in the arena. We have Cassidy and Chris joining TJ on the arena floor, and then we get to the votes, and we see just how chaotic these votes are. We see Tiffany gets 4 votes, we see Dusty gets 4 votes, and then everybody else, it's just wildfire. We have Fessel with 1 vote, Desi with 1 vote, Alyssa L with 1 vote, Sebastian with 1 vote, Chanel with 2 votes. TJ starts up the hopper, which I didn't notice this until this morning when rewatching the episode, but that's like frosted over. That's how cold it is out here in Croatia at this time of filming, but there is like a layer of just like fog within the hopper that you can barely see the balls kind of getting randomized here. TJ pulls a ball, he looks at it, and then puts it into his pocket. I found this quite interesting, not saying that like something weird is happening or whatever, but in the previous episodes, it seemed like TJ was always reading the ball and then trying to show it to everybody to be like, this is what the ball says, even though the typing is really, really small on it and you barely can read it. At least he was trying to show off the ball, being like, that's the name that was picked. This time, that was not even the case. Like, TJ, like, looked at it, put it in his pocket, and then said that Cassidy was playing and she was playing against Alyssa L. Again, not trying to insinuate anything, it just was a little weird in my opinion. But Alyssa L will be playing against Cassidy in this week's elimination called Blockhead. Each player will be locked in a cage and they have to roll around the arena collecting flags. They have to collect 4 flags in order, 1 through 4, and then they have to take their flags to a designated light area, putting them all together to show off their lock code. Once they get the code, they have to unlock themselves, jump out of their cage, and then run over to the button and press it. The first player to get out of their cage and run to the button and press it will win back into the game. I really like this elimination. It reminded me of like a mix of the season 31 Vendetta's basket case elimination between Marie and Kayla, mixed with season 34's elimination between Johnny and Theo when they were in the cages and they had to roll all around the elimination arena. These cages were big. I'm sure these cages were heavy, as well as they're just awkward shaped where you're really having to throw all of yourself around. I do think that Cassidy and Alyssa L are evenly matched in like body types and height and everything, so there was no inherent advantage to either person here. It was just how well they did. And Cassidy got off to an early lead. At one point, she had all 4 of her flags collected, while Alyssa L only had 2. I thought that it was over by this point, but Cassidy was having trouble aligning her cage with the light that Alyssa L came roaring back in this comeback, collecting the rest of her 4 flags in record timing. Problem was that Alyssa L had quite a struggle aligning her cage to get with the light, and Cassidy was able to get her alignment a little bit quicker because she had that head start. She got the code, she broke out of her cage, she rang the button. Cassidy wins this elimination, and Alyssa L is eliminated. I have to say that I was pretty skeptical of Alyssa L's ability coming back into this game. I was giving a lot of credit to her first season success to Tyler and Angela, and I didn't know what she would be able to do without those two really helping her out here, but she was doing a great job. And to me, I thought that she was in a great position in the house and could have went way deeper into this game if it wasn't for the hopper and the lone vote from Tori in the Operation Hat Trick / organized chaos that the vets came up with. Now, TJ does say that he finds Alyssa L awesome and that she for sure will be coming back in the future, or he expects her to be back in the future. So I do not think that this is the last time we will see Alyssa L. TJ gives the option to Cassidy whether she wants to leave the blue team, swap with another, but no surprise, Cassidy does not want to leave her blue team. She created the blue team, and after she was done, she ran right into their arms. So in my mind, there was no way she was going to leave the blue team. She's on the blue team, but the blue team finally loses a member of their squad, but they still have a numbers advantage with 7 people to 6 to 5. And Cassie is coming back, wanting revenge, wanting to go after Wes, as well as we see in the preview, Dusty is very upset that he got 4 votes. He could have went into an elimination against Chris. Dusty is out for revenge as well. But it looks like from just this episode, from how the votes go, this house is going to get a lot spicier, and I cannot wait. But that is it for the review and recap of episode 5 of the Challenge USA 2. What'd you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. What'd you think about the daily challenge? What'd you think about the elimination? What do you think about the Wes versus Cassidy rivalry that is heating up? What do you think about Operation Hat Trick? Do you think that that is a smart decision by the vets to just pick names out of a hat? Or do you think that it could come back to bite them in the butt? As well as, what do you think about Big Brother versus Survivor? Which side of the house are you rooting for? Or are you rooting for neither and you're going for the vets? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/AngelKFids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more Challenge USA 2 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.